Today on Geek Devotions, we're talking about My Hero Academia and being a dad. Hello, devoted geeks, and welcome to Geek Devotions, the YouTube show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. I'm Dallas, and I'm so glad that you hit the play button today. Do me a favor, if you like today's content, make sure you hit the like button, and also do us a favor and subscribe to our channel if you're really interested in getting this content on a regular basis. Make sure you hit that bell symbol so you're notified every time we upload to this channel. If you're new here, essentially what we do is we take geek pop culture things and we use it to let people know that they are loved. And today we thought we'd do a kind of a Father's Day type of episode. Father's Day here in the United States is this Sunday. And so today I thought I'd talk about a really interesting concept about fatherhood that I saw in a series recently called My Hero Academia that I recently really dived into because, well, one of our dear friends, one of our devoted geek members, recommended. His name is Wade.
Blast Ultra!
As you can see, Wade is a big fan of My Hero Academia. When I saw the enthusiasm that he had, I was like, I've got to check this show out. And guys, I'm hooked. I gotta be honest with you. I'm only like 4 or 5 episodes in, and I need to binge watch every bit of it before season 3 premieres. If you're unfamiliar with the series, real simple storyline. Essentially, everybody lives in a world of superheroes. There's these things called quirks, and either you're born with it or you're not. If you're born with a quirk, there's a time frame where it becomes manifest and you develop some special powers. They range from really weird and awkward to like really destructive. It gets really, really crazy. And there's this one kid named Izuku who his dream has always been to be a hero. Specifically, he wanted to be like this one particular character named All Might, who seems to be the superhero of superheroes, the man that stands above everyone else, the man who fights for truth, justice, and the Hero Academia way. However, Izuku's run into a super slight problem. He doesn't have a quirk. For Izuku, he in the society, he's looked down upon. He's looked down as like, look, you're quirkless, you don't have any abilities, you are worthless to the world, your dreams are smashed. And he fought hard about this. He dreamed regularly to become a hero, to be like his idol, All Might. And one day he actually met All Might. And honestly, guys, it wasn't a great conversation. In fact, All Might looked at him and said, look, kid, you have no quirk. You have no hope of being a hero like me. That doesn't mean you can't do some good stuff. You can become a police officer, all those very things, but you can't operate in the same things I have. Sorry, kid, you just don't have it. And he was crushed. He was really, really pulled down in that moment. However, later that day, Izuku did something pretty heroic. He rushed into danger. He saw somebody who was in need, somebody he actually didn't even care for, and he just had this overwhelming desire. He goes, I've got to go. I've got to help him. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if I have the quirk or not. This guy needs help. And so he rushed in to help this guy. And All Might saw this. And All Might, he's sick right now. And he's kind of self-loathing. And he sees Izuku, a kid that has no quirk, but he's fighting with everybody he has to save somebody. And it inspired him. And he jumped in, saved the day at the end of the day. But later he tracks out Izuku. And he sees Izuku. And he's apologizing. Izuku is apologizing for getting in the way, even though he's the one that really rushed into danger. And All Might looks at him and he goes, young man, you too can be a hero. You see, in that moment right there, All Might recognized this kid had something special, and there was something that All Might carries that he could pass on to this kid, and he could become the hero that he's always dreamed of. Some would maybe even say that he was going to become the hero that he was destined to be. But Izuku, he needed somebody to validate that. He needed somebody to speak life into him, because all of his life, all he'd been told is, you're worthless, kid. You're quirkless. You got nothing to offer. You might as well just set your standard low, because that's all you are good for. That's all you're ever going to get. He never had anybody look at him and go, hey, someday you may be a hero. Now, I get it. On the outside, everybody's looking at the logical things. But he needed somebody to look deeper. He needed somebody who could pass something off to him. He needed somebody to speak life into him in a way that nobody else could. He needed a father. And in that moment, All Might stepped in and in a fatherly way looked at Izuku and said, young man, you too can be a hero. In that moment, and that little phrase, he gave life to Izuku, but more importantly, he gave him identity. And that's kind of where I want to kind of take a turn in this conversation. Because there's a lot of us in life that we're struggling because maybe we have never had anybody validate an identity. They never spoke life into us. Sure, we're walking an identity that to the world seems logical. The world is throwing things at you saying, this is who you are. This is what you are. You don't have this, so you have to be this. And sometimes we walk in depressions and we adopt identities that were never meant to be our identity. We adopt mindsets that have been forced upon us by a world that honestly, they don't want to see you succeed. And a lot of the reasons why this happens in people's lives is because there's not a father that steps up and says, young man, you too can be a hero. Those of you guys who have been around, you know that I've struggled at times with understanding who I am and the identity that I get to walk in. Growing up, it was a rough life at times. I wasn't really sure of who I could be and who I wanted to be. But it wasn't until some godly men came in my life and they spoke life into me. These men spoke life to me and they poured into me something very special. They loved me. They cared for me. They discipled me. They rose me up to be a man of God. They gave me identity. Now I say that, and I want you to understand, the identity they gave me was one that's already given to me by my Father in heaven, by God Himself. The identity that you have is a son and daughter. And if you learn to walk in that, guys, things will begin to change. Life will begin to turn around. However, sometimes people are walking outside of their identity because they've never had a father to go, hey, this is who you can be. And over and over and over again, I don't care where you are in history, we see this happen, that when the sons and the daughters are removed from godly counsel, from fathers who truly breathe life into you. And I understand some of you watching, maybe you didn't have a good dad to breathe life into you, and I apologize for that. I'm so sorry. You never had a man of God step up and speak life. But God is a true father, and He loves you and He cares about you. And He's trying to pour life into you right now through this message. But like I was saying, throughout history, when we see this separation of children and then true godly men of fathers speaking life into them, we see destruction. We see families falling apart. We see society falling apart. Now, sometimes the disconnect is going different directions. You have fathers who have failed to step in and breathe life into their sons, and sometimes we have kids who simply are rebellious and said, I don't want that, and they walk away from the godly things that their fathers are trying to pour into them. Guys, we have to stop that. And it takes both sides. It takes sons and daughters going, I need to humble myself. And it takes fathers stepping up and humbling themselves and going, you know what? I screwed up. I'm sorry. Let me be what I was supposed to be. And at the same time, it takes men standing up and seeing the fatherless and going, look, I can't replace your dad. I really can't. But I can step in as a father-like figure and speak life into you and tell you who you are. Validate who God has created you to be. And when we see those things, there will be a change in culture. There will be a change in the atmosphere of your life. Malachi chapter 4 verse 6 says this, and He will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children, and the hearts of children to their fathers. Lest I come and strike the land with a decree of utter destruction. Now in context, that is a messianic prophecy being given in the book of Malachi during the time frame where the people of God are in captivity. But in captivity, you suffer fatherlessness. You suffer orphanism. And what he's saying here is because there's this disconnect, we're going to see a lot of issues. But there'll be a day when a man of God comes, and in this particular instance, they're speaking prophetically about Elijah, who is supposed to be, work with me here, guys. Elijah is an allusion to John the Baptist, who we see in the New Testament, and it's his proclamation of the coming Christ, and it turns the hearts of the children to the fathers and fathers to the children. That's talking about the generational gaps. But it's also speaking to a very real life situation. That destruction comes, yes, but if the sons and fathers can turn to each other, hearts be repaired, we will see something beautiful happen. So to all you men out there who are fathers, thank you. Thank you for standing in the gap and being there for your sons and your daughters. To those of you who maybe you haven't been there for your kids, I want to challenge you and I want to encourage you. It's not too late. Yes, you've missed time and you can't make up that time, but you can start new. You can start fresh. Pick up a phone and call your son and call your daughter. To you kids out there, this may be hard, but if you have family, if you have a father that hasn't been there for you, call them. Let them know that you're thinking about them. Love them through this moment. Maybe if you have lost your father, I want to encourage you that that pain is real, but there are things that he's imparted into you that are also very real. There's DNA that you have that he gave you, and locked in that DNA are certain things. There are talents, there's laughter, there's joy that's inside of you that came from him. So celebrate those things. And finally, I want to challenge those of you guys out there, and you're looking around this world and you see the fatherless. Stand up. Step forward and be a father. No, you can't be their actual father, even though maybe at times your heart is broken for them. But be there for them if you can. Pray for them. Love on them. Encourage them. Speak life. There's a young man or a young woman in your life that's looking for validation. They're waiting for you to stand up and go, young man, young woman, you too can be a hero. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Geek Devotions. Do me a favor, leave some comments down below and let us know your thoughts on what we had to say today. And also, while you're doing that, answer our question of the week, which is simply this. Tell me a story about your dad. That's all I'm asking. Just tell us a story about your dad and what you appreciate about him. And if you're a dad, leave a story and tell us a story about your kid and what you love about them and what you appreciate about them. And if you're a spiritual father, leave a comment and tell us about something that you love and appreciate about those that you have spiritually spoken into. We want to make sure you guys also know that this is Podcast Week, and we have a podcast coming out this Sunday for Father's Day. We're super excited about it. We're talking about Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, featuring Celeste's dad.
Okay.
The podcast features him, not Lois and Clark. He wasn't in that.
He's a Superman.
Don't forget to check out all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look up for Geek Devotions and we pop up very quickly. Also, don't forget to check out our Twitch page. We're starting to do some gaming. It's a lot of fun. Come hang out for those things. And I normally end this with peace and love, but this week, happy Father's Day.